did not care. I was never afraid to spend my money and go all in all the time. I never disrespected them. If I won, I shut my mouth. I said, thank you for the action. If they beat me, thank you for the game. I appreciate it. It hurt like hell sometimes.
What sets you apart from being a room owner, and really what set you on that journey?
But I went all in. We went out there, we lived out there in Sacramento for a while. I'm paying double rents. I'm driving Uber because I have no money. I sold all my cues, I borrowed cash. 2019, I bought it. 11 months later, after we owned it, we had COVID. And then
That's a bad roll.
bad roll. A lot of people don't realize what real pressure is. Real pressure is payroll, rents, electricity, taxes, credit card fees, like all this, that's heat. I swipe my credit card and I don't know if it's going through.
Right.
That's a terrible feeling. They have an empty hand here and they have an open hand here. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
It does not work that way in life, in business, in anything. It does not work that way. If you're looking for handouts, you're in the wrong line of work.
Hey, real quick before we dive into this episode, did you know that 95% of the viewers of this channel are not subscribed yet? This stat blows my mind every time I look at it. I tell you what, when you subscribe, you're joining a movement. And whenever you do subscribe, here's my promise to you, is that me and my team are gonna do everything that we can to make every episode the best that we can possibly make it. We're constantly looking for feedback. We're reviewing the comments. We're doing everything that we can to interview the people that you want us to be interviewing and making sure that the content evolves every single time. So if you like what you're seeing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to support beyond that, consider becoming a member. You get to have extended access to all the interviews. You have minimal edits, and you get to see all the behind the scenes footage that we don't cram into each and every episode. So if you want to see everything that we're doing, then go ahead and consider becoming a channel member. Anyways, let's get back into the episode. This episode is brought to you by Integrity Cues, BSN's trusted source of premium pool cues and accessories. Shop the entire inventory online now at integritycues.com.
Welcome to Talkin English. I am here with Oscar Dominguez, not only a pro player, but also massive in the industry right now. And I'm really excited to talk to this man about something away from his pool playing aspects, but something about being a room owner, being an industry leader, and also as a role model to a lot of juniors that are up and coming in the game within America. So Oscar, over to you. I want to give you the opportunity first and foremost to give a shout out to your sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, a big shout out to everyone at Hard Times Billiards. We have about 14,000 square feet, 33 tables, and yeah, Hard Times and Lucasi. 33. So all 9 foot.
All 9 foot?
All 9 foots.
So not like this room where there's some I see some 7 foots in the back, but
yeah. I mean, it's laid out differently. They have a lot of pillars here, so it kills a lot of their real estate. But yeah, I mean, Lucasi, Brunswick, Q&Ks. I'm looking at signing with Howell Tips as well, so unofficially, I'm working with them. So yeah, appreciate everybody.
I really want to talk to you about what sets you apart from being a room owner, and really what set you on that journey?
It's a good question. I've been fixing tables with my dad since I was about 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
So that was my summer camp, fixing pool tables.
That was it?
And I spent a lot of time with my dad on the road, and you know, summer breaks from high school, holiday weekends, I always went to work. I was a workaholic. My father's a workaholic, so it was easy for me to transition to that lifestyle. And it was always a goal of mine to open up a pool room. That was always my dream.
Right.
In retrospect, I wish I would have dreamed bigger. But you know what? It's a beautiful life, and you know, I'm never going to get rich, but you know, it gives me a lifestyle that I can only dream of. So yeah, I mean, I was living in Vegas, playing high stakes cash games every day almost, and the opportunity popped up. My daughter actually took her first steps, and I was on a flight from Jakarta, Indonesia, back home. I missed my daughter's first steps, and I was absolutely devastated.
Yeah. Hey, bro.
And just as that happens, the owner of Hard Times Sacramento sends me a message,
Okay.
and she says, "Hey, we're ready to sell."
Right.
And I'm like, "How much?" And we didn't come up with all of it. And I said, "Hey, I can't do this. I mean, I'm just a pool player. I have cash. I do this." And
Yeah.
so, "Oh, we'll work with you." No brainer. So I said, "I can come down with X amount of dollars," and they agreed. And I texted my wife on the flight. I'm like, "What do you think?" She says, "We're an idiot not to take this opportunity."
Right.
So we went out there. We lived out there in Sacramento for a while. I'm paying double rents. I'm driving Uber because I have no money. I sold all my cues. I borrowed cash. You know, when I'm thinking about it, I have X amount of dollars in my bank account, and I did. But I went all in. I wasn't thinking of rent, daily expenses, and just day-to-day life. I'm not thinking about that. I'm just like,
You're thinking long term.
I'm just tunnel vision, just go all
Yeah.
in.
Put it all in.
So I'm driving Uber for about 3 months, doing DoorDash, just doing whatever I can to make $1. Playing as many people, giving spots, sold all my cues. Took a big gamble. It was everything I had. I borrowed money in
What year was this?
2017
2017. Okay.
and 2018 actually. And then 2019 I bought it. 11 months later, after we owned it, we had COVID. And then
What a break, eh?
yeah, and
That's a bad roll.
bad roll. But you know what? The landlords or the previous owners worked with us. They were amazing. They showed a lot of character when it came
Yeah.
down to that.
Yeah.
And I think at a time like that, you really learn who your friends are. And it was pretty cool. But we survived COVID. I survived COVID. I can survive anything.
That's a really good point to make. And if you could trade all of those years as a gambler, because I know you've been big on the road in the past, not just from the roots that your father laid, but would you have done it sooner if you could have, and been a business owner versus a
Oh, absolutely.
road player?
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
learned a lot gambling. I learned how to work with people.
Right.
Believe it or not, I got so much good games, so many great action because I was really honest and straightforward with people. I respected them. I never disrespected them. If I won, I shut my mouth. I said, "Thank you for the action."
Right.
If they beat me, thank you for the game.
Thank you. Right.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. It hurt like hell sometimes. Absolutely stung, but I showed class when I had to, and so many people were helping me in that position. They appreciated the action. So it all worked out at the end. I mean, obviously, if I can buy a pool room sooner, I would have. It would have made my life a lot easier.
Yeah, but
But-
even if it wasn't Paul, do you think like the upbringing you had kind of taught you the values of business?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, you mentioned a couple of it there. It was like, hey, I learned how to take a beating. I learned how to get back up again and keep going.
Right.
You know, it's like,
So, like, my dad had
Would
a
you-
pool hall. We had 19 tables in Northridge, California, and we had a bad
sorry,
partner.
which part of California?
Northridge,
Oh, right.
Southern
okay.
California.
Southern California.
And shout out to everybody from Billiard Connection, by the way.
All right, that's good.
We had a bad partner. He robbed us. And right away, I knew I don't want a partner anymore.
Okay.
I'm going to do this myself with my wife, my immediate family, no partners.
Okay.
So I had some investors that wanted to go, and I said, no. I didn't care. I'd rather not do it than do it with someone else. So yeah, I mean, there's so many things I learned just with my dad, and he is a beast, you know, and I think he always said there's a saying in Spanish: cualquier negocio es mejor que cualquier trabajo, which means any business is better than any job. It's it could be, it's not for everybody. Business ownership isn't for everybody, but it was for me.
So as a Brit myself, and coming to America is, completely alien to me. Do you think that America as a capitalist place made you want to earn that more than perhaps if you were somewhere else?
It's a good question.
That's my point. Taxes is everything. The Civil War happened because the British were charging too much in taxes.
Yeah. I mean, I think I almost moved to China.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we almost moved to
See,
China.
people won't know that, and that's
Yeah.
what's interesting about this type of
Yeah.
conversation.
So I almost moved to mainland China. One of my best friends, Greg, he still lives out there.
Okay.
I was offered a position to go live out there and teach English and play pool. And
Really?
pool was huge in China at this time.
Wow.
So
Which year? Sorry, tell it for the year.
this was 2014, 13.
Okay. So that's
not
a lot
that-
later than I would have predicted.
Yeah, so it wasn't that long ago. And I was with my now wife, Desiree, and we're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Screw it. We were,
No children at that point.
huh?
No children at
No
that point.
children, no. So,
Oh, that's a tough question, bud.
yeah, but you know what? It was, she ended up getting a job, a really good job, and then the plans kind of fell through.
Yeah.
So it all worked out at the end.
That's what I'm saying. Some things work out for the best, and then, in that 4-year span, that was your kind of like make or break, right?
Right. Right.
Between when you got the room and you start to think everything happens for a reason,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, there was a lot of people don't realize what real pressure is. Real pressure is payroll, rent, electricity, taxes, credit card fees, like all this. That's heat, and I can't drag people into my business. So I got to promote. I got to grind it out.
So let's focus on that point. Between 2014 and 2018, who were your sponsors and what were you trying to do to be somebody? Because at that time you were kind of you were on the radar, but
Yeah.
were you competing?
I got to give a lot of credit to two particular people who really helped me throughout my career. Steve Sobel from St.
Okay.
Louis,
Yeah,
watches on AZ Billiards, for those of you who know him,
there you go.
and Tommy Medina, the professional poker player. They, obviously, it was a business decision to stake me, and for them, it was beneficial as well for them. But they gave me an opportunity to play for nosebleed games that I would never play. So I'm playing for tens and 20s and $30,000 every week, and making huge scores. I'm not playing for chump change here. So that was huge. That was like a big step for me financially
Right.
to almost break away from the pack. You know what I mean? I kind of felt like all these pool players, and myself included, I was just going event to event. I had to cash in this event to go to the next event. I swipe my credit card and I don't know if it's going through.
Right.
That's a terrible feeling.
It's horrible. I've been there, dude.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
It's a terrible feeling, and I felt that a few times in my life, and I swore to never do that again.
Okay.
I hate being broke. I hate the feeling. It's a helpless feeling. I feel like a failure.
Right.
And so all these life lessons of going busted and blowing everything I had, and it built almost a respect for hard work and a respect for money and a respect that no one's immune to losing everything.
Right.
So you have to count your blessings
No immunity, yeah.
and, protect your money, but don't dwell on it because
Right.
it comes and goes. So it's kind of like a fine line where you respect the money, but you're not afraid of it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, so many life lessons I learned through pool and gambling.
I feel like this is what I tell kids and juniors all the time is the game will teach you so much. And it's not just in the practice element. I'm not talking about the hustling and the gambling side of things.
Yeah.
The game will teach you discipline. It will teach you patience. It will teach you mathematics if you want, if that's
absolutely.
if that's what appeals to you.
Right.
But it also like, I think it very very much like transcends into real world emotion.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know if anyone really understands that as much as I think you do,
No,
because you've seen the full spectrum.
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And you've lived it. You've lived it from start to finish.
Right.
And it's not even over yet. That's the best thing about it.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this game is like it never really ends.
No.
You could be 90 years old and still play in one pocket.
Yeah.
I see it every time. I go into a ball and these guys are just playing, you know,
And playing
like
it well.
like they were in their 20s.
Yeah.
And there's something about that that really is like, it's so inspiring to me.
Mhm.
I want to replicate that in my, I want long life because of it.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
see what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.
And as a room owner, I want you to know is like, how many players right now do you see are kind of in their 70s, 80s, 90s? Do you have lifelong members right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a very interesting dynamic. I've had a lot of people come to my pool hall and say, "Oh my God, I've never seen such a busy pool hall
Right.
from the moment you open to the moment you close." I cater to my daytime crowd, and I have roughly between 80 and 120 members, and they pay a membership, and they're there like I call it the 55 and over crowd.
Okay.
So the 55 and over crowd, I have a line out the door waiting for the doors to open
Before they open, right?
before we open every day at noon.
Keep going. But I'm going to tell you some things about New York. Keep going.
Yeah, and I've had 20, 30 tables going
Really?
at noon to about 4 to 5 p.m.
But through the weekdays.
every day,
Right.
7 days a week.
Yeah, sorry. Through the weekdays.
More so on Sundays. Sunday
Okay.
seems like a really busy daytime crowd. And right around 4, 5 p.m., it kind of dies down. There's a little lull to about 6:30. And then I have my nighttime crowd. People get off of work, who work 9 to 5, and they all come to the pool hall afterwards. So it's never dead. But I do know that my demographic is older.
Right.
Daytime though, nighttime it's very young.
Right.
We have a lot of kids.
So do you find people come into your bar just to drink and not even worry about the pool?
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, we have a lot.
Do you
of
think that
children.
that's a lot of your success is because of that? Making it a spot rather than just a billiard hall?
Yes, it's a very laid back environment. It's a blue collar area, and it's almost so we share a parking lot with the Sacramento Sheriff's Department.
Oh, okay.
So it's free security 24/7 basically. It's great.
It's big for me.
Yeah, it's huge, and it's spotless. And the place, I mean, you can eat off the floor. The place is clean. The balls are clean every day. The tables are vacuumed. My father actually gave me the biggest compliment of my life. He told me, you know, when we recovered the pool tables, there's always chalk and dirt underneath, right? Every time you clean it. My dad said, in all my life, I've never seen a cleaner pool hall than this.
Really?
He says, whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Keep it.
And if you know my dad, he's my biggest critic. He's an absolute brutal person to deal with, and I love him to pieces, but he's difficult. He's very challenging. He's always pushing me. So for him to give me that compliment, I was like, wow, that's pretty deep, Dad. Thanks. Like, that made my whole month. So
I can tell when I see with your relationship, both online and in person, your dad means everything to you.
yeah, definitely. My parents we have a really good relationship.
That's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I wouldn't be the person I am without my father. He's passed now, and that's, you know, there's nothing to do with this, but he was a big inspiration for me playing pool.
Okay.
Originally it was snooker, so all the time I got to spend with him was at the snooker club.
Right.
So whenever he had downtime from work, it was at the snooker club.
Perfect.
So as his son, I'm the youngest of 4, I would go every time. I was like, hey Dad, do you want to play? And when it was at the pub, we'd play pool, which was on a 6-foot table.
Right.
And it kind of made me try harder at pool because that's how I wanted to impress him. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course.
Because it was like, he was so in tune with that network. It was great. And when I first came to America, I played John Morrow's dad, Mario.
Oh, Mario, yeah.
So Mario Mora in Canada, in Toronto. And it resonated with me when you and your dad, Ernesto, kind of just, you're always in the same room,
Oh, yeah.
playing the same tournaments.
Yeah.
And it was the same with Mario and John. I was like,
Yeah.
is that unique to this game, do you think?
It
Or-
is. To do it at a high level,
Right.
I think it is unique.
Unique, right?
It's unique because his lifestyle's so difficult.
Okay.
And John Schmidt made a great comment one time. He says, if you teach your kid how to play pool, you should be charged with child abuse. And it's a difficult life. And, you know, my daughters are both on the autism spectrum. I don't know if they're ever going to live a normal life. I don't know.
I get it.
But I would never teach them. If they do live a normal life, I would never encourage them to play pool, but I will support them in whatever they want.
What I will say is, perhaps billiards could focus in that point.
That's what I think.
Somebody with autism, somebody with Asperger's
Yeah.
or something like that, or
Yeah, my
Asperger's.
youngest is.
I think pool's a great game for that.
Yeah, my
Because it
youngest is
focuses the mind.
Asperger's.
Okay.
So it's a lot. And right now it's probably the toughest time, the toddler stage. I got a 3 and a 6-year-old. So yeah, it's been a rough couple years.
This is why, I respect it, so much that not only you're a pro player, and again, this isn't about spotlight as you as a Moscone guy. Your career speaks for itself. This is more about you as the family man, the room owner, the businessman. And I want to switch gears now and just talk about Lucchese and obviously the partnerships you made with not only Brunswick,
Right.
obviously on the side here,
Yeah, perfect.
Q and Case, and obviously Lucchese as well. Talk to me about the journey that kind of transpired from not only just owning a room, but through to delivering a Q line. What was
Right.
that like, start to finish?
So I was with Predator. I had a great relationship with Karim,
Right.
and I still do. I feel like I still do. And most of the employees over at Predator, I just felt so restricted with Predator. I had to use a chalk, the gloves, the break cue, the jump cue, the shaft, the revo, blah, blah, blah. It's just, they make everything. They put their name on everything.
So you're saying contractually you were obliged to use everything?
Yeah, and I wanted to use like the Pantheras and the custom
Yeah.
cues, and I'm like, I'm buying everything. And they said, no, you can't do that. And I'm like,
Because you're a collector at this point too, right?
And I'm like,
You're
what do
just
you
a Q guy.
Right. I'm like, what do you mean I can't do that? I paid money with it. It's got a Predator logo and this and that. Like, these cues play better than your traditional line.
Right.
It's just the way it is. But they look at it from their point of view, which is totally respectable. But I'm going to look at it from my point of view as well. So immediately I said, I don't like the direction that this is going. I'm playing big high stakes cash games. I'm playing tournaments. I can give a damn about the free cues they give me or the couple $1,000.
Get it.
I'm playing a game of one pocket for $5,000. I can care less about
Right.
the sponsorship I get. So I went rogue. I just did my own thing. And Lucchese reached out to me. Actually, Shane Tyree from the BCA helped me link up with them. Said, hey, these guys are looking. White Carbon was looking. I talked to Perry. I talked to so many companies. And I said, look, sell me the cue. I want to buy everything. Don't give me a damn thing. I don't want anything for free. I want to try it out. Tried out Lucchese. I'm like, it's all right.
Yeah.
By the way, fun fact, Lucchese and Predator are made in the same factory.
Same factory.
Same exact factory.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
Same owners or same,
Same factory.
but
It's in
different
China.
owners?
Oh yeah, different owners.
Okay.
Yeah, Lucchese.
I never knew that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. So the only difference is, a couple little nuances in the shaft and the marketing. So it's not that much of a difference. Obviously, the construction is patented for Predator, and then our construction is patented for us. But it's made by the same people. I could have done a lot of things. Like I had some offers with Jacoby. It was turnkey. I could just go
Well,
in.
you had a lot of the limited editions I saw.
Yeah.
They were branded Predator, but made
Right.
by Jacoby.
Right. So I could have gone with Jacoby, and it was turnkey operation. I didn't have to rebuild. And I talked to Luke Casey, and I said, "Hey, like, look, what can we do here? Like, I'm looking for a project. I'm very project oriented."
Right.
And I said, if we can build a new queue line and improve the product, can we do that? He's like, absolutely, 100%. Let's just rebuild everything and get on the map. I'm like, huh, all right, this is interesting. And I just saw a massive opportunity there for myself to grow. Not only the company and the
And
brand.
who were they sponsoring at the time?
Zero.
Zero, right?
Nobody.
So you were coming in like,
I
brass
took a
tacks,
leap of
done.
faith with Lucasi.
okay,
I took a leap of faith. I was the first one.
yeah.
Obviously, Holman and a couple other guys were sponsored by Lucasi in the past. But when West Bond and the other guys from Coda sold it to Escalade, everything kind of fell apart.
Because a few of the key people moved into another business, right?
Right. They all moved, like Molinari, and they all separated.
Separated.
So I was the first person to be signed by Lucasi.
Okay.
And then also it's nice because I text the main guy in charge. It's like, hey, we got to do this and do that. And
That's got to be nice, having
it's
them on
nice.
speed dial.
Right. I communicate directly to the guy who can make things happen. And it was so fun. It was a fun project. And it's starting to come together now, and we're not even close to finish. I mean, there's the jump cues, the break cues, the PureX jump cues going to be released very soon. It's a lot of great stuff coming up.
So tell me about timeline. With a project like that, do they give you a certain amount of time to say, hey, concept to production? Did you have 3 months, 6 months, a year?
It depends. So that's the problem with the R&D, is that you really gotta take every single con or every single adjustment right out the gate. You can't say, oh, well, let me add this on or let me add that on, because it's going to push 3 months onto the timeline. So I made a list of specifications that must be met.
Right.
These are must-haves. These are no exceptions, non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And then we have the negotiables.
Right.
And depending on our price point, but they were so good with everything. It was kind of like, let's go. Let's bring out the best we can for what we have. And it was fun. It took about a year, and I mean, I
So
signed
it's already
last
been
April.
it's been a year.
I signed last April, and I started the project probably in February.
Okay.
So it's been
Took it 18 months then.
18 months.
And I know that you recently released a pro line.
Yeah.
Did you agree that before you joined, you were going to have a pro line of cues that was going to attach your name to it? Did you already agree that before you came on board?
That was a prerequisite.
So that was a prerequisite.
Yes.
See, a lot of people think that you just join and it's like, oh, we're going to do this
No.
together.
No.
What I love about what you're saying is like, it was a prerequisite.
Right.
I'm going to come on board, I'm going to put my name to it,
Right.
and I'm going to make it what I want it to be.
Correct.
Right.
I told them if I'm gonna dedicate myself to this project, there has to be an end goal.
It has to be.
There has to be a plan of action. If you want to become the premier production Q and be recognized, right now it's the Q-Tech Predator, Perry in Asia, Mez in Asia, and those are the big ones.
Right.
Those are the big guys.
There's no one else really pushing.
There's no one else pushing that hard. I mean, you got White Carbon and Viking.
Viking, right? T6
Yeah.
I don't want to give them shout outs, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
If you guys want to come talk to me, let me know.
yeah, I mean, I respect all the companies, and there's enough business for everybody. And that's the thing is, this industry is massive. I'm learning so much about the industry and how there's millions of dollars being made out there, millions. And it's great for the sport. I think if we just all work and fight for this, competition's healthy for everybody.
It is.
There's no right now. There's been a monopoly
It
on
really is.
for years with Predator and Q-Tech. There's been a monopoly for decades. Now you're seeing companies come out the woodworks with deep pockets and pumping money into the sport. It's awesome.
It really is.
Everyone wins, and I think people are recognizing that there are some great products out there. There are some brilliant minds that are working on jump cues and break cues. There's some unbelievable products out there.
You mentioned a jump cue there, and I've been witness this weekend in particular. Talk us through the break and the jump cue that you've helped engineer. I believe it's called the Diamond Elite. Is it Diamond Elite?
Well, that is not quite. I did not make it.
You didn't make it?
No.
But you're using it?
I'm using it because we are doing a variant of it.
Okay.
We're working on, Lucasi and I, we're working on a project to adjust it. There's still a few things I'm not thrilled about, believe it or not. I know I jumped unbelievable in that set.
You've made 10 from 10.
I know.
That's 10 attempts, 10 jumps. It's unreal.
Yeah.
I sat there and watched it on the rail.
I hit a gear. I hit a jumping gear. I really did.
And you're not very well known for jumping. When I would say like my top 5 for jumping, you wouldn't be in it. And I don't mean that disrespectfully.
No.
But you're not in that group. And now I think you're in my top 5. I don't know.
Oh, thank you. Actually, Thorsten Holman gave me one of the biggest compliments of my life. He said that I'm his favorite jump shooter in the world.
Really?
Thorsten Holman. Years ago.
Have you just nailed him into the ground?
Huh?
You've just nailed him every time, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very good jump shooter. I stopped becoming a good jump shooter, believe it or not, and no disrespect to the other company, when I switched to the air rush.
Oh. Okay.
My jumping went all the way down.
That's probably why. It's probably why for me. I was like, okay.
I went from one of the best jumpers to one of the not a very good one.
Really?
But for me, again, this is my personal opinion, my personal preference. I jumped unbelievable with the James Handshoe.
Oh, yeah, Handshoe.
Handshoe. I jumped unreal with that one. And I was probably Dunkel, jumped great with the Dunkel as well. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great products out there.
Shout out to Steve. He's been sweating the action all the time.
Steve,
now.
we're supposed to have dinner.
So do you keep in touch with your old sponsors and stuff like that? You've kept healthy relationships?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I don't believe in burning bridges.
Right.
And also, it's not my personality. I'm not a spiteful individual.
I'm going to tell you now, as an amateur player and coming up through the ranks, I have, before I reached out to be an ambassador or to ask for sponsorship, I tested all the product first. I bought it with my own money. I said, if I really enjoyed the product, I would reach out further and say, hey, I'd love to be an ambassador for you.
Right.
What sort of key piece of information for juniors, perhaps, coming through the ranks, what advice would you give them to gain purposeful sponsorship? Not just for like product, but something that's going to help them within their career.
Okay. And I that's a great question, and phenomenal questions, by the way.
Thank you.
So many players ask me, how can I get sponsored?
All right.
Okay. They have an empty hand here, and they have an open hand here. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
It does not work that way in life, in business, in anything. It does not work that way. If you're looking for handouts, you're in the wrong line of work. So what you need to do is say, hey, I'm an aspiring pool player. I'm not there yet. I'm looking for to represent a pool cue. Is there any way I can work with you and get a product to try? If I'm unhappy with the product, I'll give it back to you.
Right.
Don't expect anything for free. You have to earn people's trust. For example, a business owner like myself, I sponsored Savannah Easton for a while.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I gave her, paid her a pretty good little chunk of change to help with. For me, it was a good chunk of change. The reason being is because her social media was phenomenal. Incredible social
Very,
media.
very good.
Tiffany's unbelievable.
Live streams, everything.
Everything.
Great presence, good following.
I mean, you get so much value for your dollar when you sponsor someone like Savannah Easton.
Agreed.
So, all you aspiring players, social media is free. It's free. If you're not offering a valuable investment for these companies, there's no need. So you have to realize from a business point of view, they have X amount of dollars per year to allocate for sponsorship. Unless it's like, oh, this is really worth it,
Right.
they're not going to give you a quarter, myself included. It's just the way it is. It's business. It's not personal.
And that's why I say to you, as one of the old school, if you'd have had the same opportunity when you were 16, where would you have gone from there? And it's a different time now. You didn't have social media. You didn't have the internet. How did you gain that traction? How did you rely on your parents and other investors for that kind of traction?
For that traction, believe it or not, since I've been a kid, I've been working. I always made my own money. My dad paid me. I never asked anybody for anything.
Okay.
I paid for everything. If I wanted a new jump cue, I went out and bought it. I did not care. I was never afraid to spend my money and go all in all the time. I was never afraid to spend. So I kind of just did it my own way, and I did get sponsored a little bit by Tad Custom Cues because my father was representing Tad Cues.
Okay.
But Ed Pruitt helped me out too, but I paid for that cue. He gave me a wholesale price, but I still paid for it. All these things that you do is that I'm taking a risk with you. So, they're not millionaires. The industry is blowing up now. I see a lot of people getting sponsorship that I've never heard of.
Right.
And it's kind of like, whoa, who are they? I really don't know who they are. And they have TikToks or social media platforms and stuff like that. But there's people who don't do anything and still get sponsored.
Well, this is what I believe in. I believe that you might not be the best player, right? You might not be the best person to, but you would think that could do anything for a brand. But now you're a room owner. Now you're a brand owner.
Yeah.
So under your brand, who do you sponsor? Who do you bring on board to represent not only Oscar, but Hard Times, but the relationships that you've built with, like you say, Q and Case,
Yeah.
Casey, Brunswick. Brunswick has been around for how many years now?
Oh, hundreds.
100, that's what I'm saying. These guys were the originals.
Yeah, 1845.
You can see it right there, 1845.
It's
So you're
amazing.
talking about billiards on a whole new level. How do you see, let's just talk about Brunswick. How do you see them from old and what they are now? And what really drew you toward them?
Okay, so Q and Case, Lucasi, and Brunswick are all owned under the same umbrella.
So it's all under the same.
It's all one umbrella.
So who's the main
Escalade Sports.
Escalade?
Escalade.
Okay.
So Brunswick, I had a candid conversations with the people at Brunswick. Walt, the CEO, and Nick and Jacqueline, obviously. And I said, look, we're fighting a huge, huge uphill battle on the commercial sector with Diamond and Rasson. And Gabriel's in the carom.
Gabriel's too, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that's the top three?
You know what? I think you have to throw in Min in the equation.
Who?
Min, M-I-N.
Min? I've never heard
Yeah,
of
so they're based in Korea. They're a big company.
them. Really?
Yeah, they're big.
That's
there's
how
top
less
four-
traveled I am.
Yeah, there's top four. Dynamic, they're all made in China. There's a variant of it. I'd say Rasson and Diamond are the two big ones in pocket billiards. Now not counting Joy and Star
Right.
Chinese
yeah.
8-ball. They're
Let's just
massive.
focus on
pocket
9
billiards.
foot.
Yeah. They're massive. And I told them, we are really sweating this climb. The only way we can compete is to do something better than them at a better price point. we almost have to lose money in certain aspects to gain this industry, to gain that business back. They agreed 100%. They know exactly what's an uphill climb. They know what's going on. And they spared no expense in developing the Gold Crown 7.
Okay.
So if you go up to a pool table and you give it a nice little bump, you can move it
Yeah, you can.
a lot.
I'm a big dude, I know
You're
that.
a big dude. You do that to a Gabriel's, you'll break your hip.
Oh, yeah.
Do that to a Gold Crown 7, you'll also break your hip.
So the 7, when did the 7 come out?
Well, it's not out yet.
Because I'm thinking, like, you're talking Gold Crown 7, and I'm thinking, I know the 5, I know the 6.
Yeah, the 7's coming out next year.
And it's chunky.
It's sexy.
Slate's good.
It's sexy.
It's sexy.
It's sexy.
I love a sexy pool table. That's my point.
Let's just say it's one-piece slate
Oh,
and
really?
an unbelievable frame. It's going to be designed for tournaments and pool room owners. It's very well made.
So does this mean that Hard Times is going to get Gold Crown
Good
7?
question. I'm going to get 16 of a minimum.
16 minimum?
Yeah,
How many tables do you have right now?
33.
Okay.
My goal is to have Brunswicks and diamonds.
Yeah.
See, I'm a business guy, so I want to sell Coca-Cola and Pepsi. I don't give
Right.
a damn. I want to sell what the consumer wants. So when I have Brunswick tournaments, sponsored Brunswick events, I'll slide over the Brunswicks to the tournament room, and we'll play on the Brunswicks. We have diamond sponsor events, we play on the diamonds.
See, this is why I love Oscar. He's a businessman.
Absolutely.
And this is why he's on our podcast right now, because I really want to highlight the industry leader, okay? Now, he's fortunate enough to have space for 33 tables.
Right.
And as anyone knows right now, if you've run a tournament, really all you only need is 16 tables. If you've got 16 diamonds, 16 Brunswicks, Gold Crown 7s, you open your market massively, exponentially almost,
Yeah.
to have such a diversity to your
Right.
room that
Right.
I honestly don't think exists.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think it exists. And if you're first, I don't care where you are in the world, you're first.
Right. And my wife and I we're looking at another location.
Ooh.
So
Any spoilers?
Not-
America?
in the States, yeah. In the
Okay.
States. I am
East,
looking
West, Middle?
California, actually. Just stay in California for now. Texas is a possibility.
It's such a big state
Such a big state.
for billiards as well.
Yeah. It's hard to do business if you're not there. So what our goal would probably be is to move there for 6 months to a year.
Get the brand going.
Get the brand going, get the business going. Once we get the team that we feel is adequate,
Let's see it from there.
and then commute back and forth, copy and paste. That's our vision. I haven't really been actively looking. I did make an offer on another location, and it got accepted, but it didn't work out with the landlord.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I had another business. I had another pool room with like 18 tables. It was a beautiful room. And the deal fell through.
You're fairly north in terms of California.
Right. We're near the Bay
If
Area.
you were like, because LA is such a hub.
LA is probably the worst place to do business.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Is like, even though it's such a hub, I don't know anyone that survived there.
No one
honestly.
survives there. You have to own the property.
All right.
A lot of the old pool rooms owned the property back then. I mean, it's $4 a square foot, $5 a square foot. I mean, if you have 10K square feet, or 50,000 a month, who's going to afford that? Unless you're a corporation, you're not going to afford
And
it.
as you know, I've done previous casts of this where I've done NYQ Club, which you've
Yeah.
seen. They have a great model for membership only, outside of the public bar.
Right.
And then you've got places like Amsterdam that have been in business for 33 years.
Right.
There's other places in New York that are still fresh, but they've been in business 15 years, like
Yeah,
Society,
Society, yeah.
where I play. And if you could make it there, I feel like you could probably make it anywhere. But I love that you're branching out.
Right. So Society's got an amazing lease at their location.
Oh yeah, it's a basement lease, you know, I
Right,
get
it's a
it.
basement lease.
But they've still got the 16 tables. They
Yeah.
have the 16 plus the bar box for APA and whatnot. I get it.
Yeah. Premium location though.
Premium. You're right on
Premium.
Broadway. You're Broadway and like Midtown.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I love Doug there, and shout out to those guys. And Greg's the same. Greg had 2 locations at one point.
Yeah, yeah.
Upper West Side, Upper East Side. I'm wondering actually, do you have any stories about visiting New York?
I do.
Tell me about anything that you did while you were visiting New York.
I was 20 years old, 21, and Nick Schulman, who's
Yeah,
one of the
Shulman, he's one of the owners.
he's one of the owners of Society Billiards.
Poker player now.
Yeah, poker professional. I played Keith Bennett
Oh, right.
out in Society. Played a race of 25. Best 2 out of 3 sets for $20,000.
Oh,
That was the most money I ever played for at that time.
You're 20 years old?
21, 22. Race of
You weren't
25.
drinking then. You weren't drinking
Yeah.
so
Race-
much.
Race of 25, he beats me 25, 24, 25, 24. So I lose 20,000. Hill. We flip the coin. He beats me 25. No, now we bet 30,000 the second day.
Wow.
So then he beats me 25, like 18. And he's got me like 23 to like 12. He's robbing me. I make it hill. And he shits the 10 in because we're playing sloppy 10 ball.
Oh.
He shits the 10 in on
Sloppy
me.
10? I don't like that.
Oh, yeah, no.
I don't like that.
He 2-railed it, shit it into the side. Anyways, I lose $50,000 in 2 days. I mean, I'm suicidal.
Oh.
I had never imagined those quantities of cash. And in retrospect, I should have realized it's a couple of buy-ins for Nick Schulman. This is just splashing the pot type money. But for me, it really hurt me. I think I went into like a 1.5-year slump, psychological slump, because I lost that $50,000 to Keith Bennett.
Really?
Yeah, changed my life in terms of how it's hard to get that rush. I'm playing for 500, 1,000.
So were you playing on just pure adrenaline at that point?
Yeah,
Or are you playing because you want them? Obviously, you want the money,
right.
but do you want the accolade? Do you want the? Is it 50% of just the rush, or is there something else in there that? And again, this is for juniors listening right now. People say you have to play for cash to be good. I don't agree with that.
I disagree.
I disagree with that. That's my
Yeah.
point.
So, I've been to therapy about this.
All right.
So my therapist actually is a consultant for gamblers,
Okay.
compulsive gambling. I would say I was addicted to gambling. I was addicted to the rush of gambling.
Right.
It was, sometimes I like gambling more than I like winning.
That's my point. It's
And
like
that is a shitty thing to say.
outlet. Yeah, I agree.
And it's a difficult thing to admit. I went broke more times than I can count. And I think you almost become numb. It's never enough. And it's a disease. You're sick. You're really sick. I know a lot of great pool players that are degenerate gamblers. And I say that with all due respect. But I was there too. I was there for a couple of years. I got staked in big games, but it wasn't enough for me. I had to bet my own. I had to bet 5,000, and I had 5,100 in my bank account. It's a shitty cycle. I wanted to turn 500 into 5,000, turn that 5,000 into 500,000. It never ended. So yeah, it's a shitty feeling, and I caution the juniors out there. If you do go down that route, understand that it's a very dangerous route. It's an unhealthy route. Be very disciplined in your decisions, and be very humble and honest with yourself. And I think it's the lows, they stick with you. The highs are very short term. It's kind of like for the adults out there, it's a one night stand.
It's a drug, right?
It's a drug.
It's a narcotic.
It's exactly. There's no meaning behind it. There's nothing like being with somebody who you truly love,
Right.
and you want to spend the rest of your life with. There's emotion to it. Gambling is a one night stand all the time.
That's such a good way to put it.
And,
I'd never heard of it talked about like a one night stand.
right. There's no attachment. There's no emotion behind it.
I want to say, first and foremost, I really respect the candor. I respect the personalism that you put behind it. And that you can be so honest with, it's a public forum right now. We're putting this
Right.
out. This is a...
I made mistakes in my life, but I think I always had the right intention.
Yeah,
I always had my heart in the right place.
right.
And even when I made a mistake, I felt like it was quickly forgiven because nothing was ever malicious. So I hope my daughters, if I can teach them one thing, is to always have your heart in the right place in everything you do, whether that's you want to become a teacher or child psychologist, whatever it is. As long as you try your best and you really have the best of intentions, you'll be all right.
I'll be honest, Oscar, it's one of the main reasons I wanted to talk to you on this particular podcast. It's not about, like I told you, not about being a pro player. You really respect family, friendship,
Right.
business among all else. And I believe that there are some other pool players that may have used you as an example, but there are others like Fedor, who's much younger, but I believe he's built a brand.
Absolutely.
He is a massive brand.
Absolutely.
A good friend of mine, Jason Shaw, he's built a brand.
Yeah.
He's not only a fantastically well-regarded, world-class player, much like yourself, much like Fedor, but you're now building brands behind you. He's huge in Vietnam. Same with Jason.
Yeah.
He's got a room in Dubai now.
Yeah.
I see you going in the same way. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah, I definitely want to. And people always say there's no money in pool. It's like,
there's a lot of money in
there's a
pool.
lot of money in pool.
There's a lot of money.
It requires a lot of work and a lot of creativity and be unique. I mean, look at Fedor. Fedor,
He's a machine.
he's a machine. And Fedor's reached out to me quite a bit
Yeah.
throughout his life. Him and I have a very good relationship. And I think he's asked me for certain advice in terms of, and it's very flattering that he even asked me because,
That's my point. I think you're an elder statesman
right. I
in the
have
worst possible way.
some- Right. I'm
I'm
39.
I'm 42, you're 39.
39.
So
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think Federer is doing so many great things, and as talented as he is, I feel like he's going to be successful for many years to come.
And that's my point. Even at 39, I feel like you've lived a life. And now you're reaping the reward of that,
Right.
not only in your personal life and your family life, but in business.
Right, and you need great people around you, and nothing's ever done solo.
Right?
I had my father to help me so much. Obviously, my wife is a machine. She was born to run a pool hall. Like, she is so good. Like, I can be out here playing tournaments, being a degenerate, and I know the business is taken care of because Desiree's an unbelievable person, unbelievable mother, unbelievable business person. And she wasn't always like that. She was like the job type gal. And she had when we lived together, she had a job that she didn't like. And I said, quit. She's like, how? No, why am I going to quit for? How can I quit? I'm like, who gives a shit? It's like, we're broke anyways. And she never looked at it that way.
Right.
And I kind of opened her up a little bit, I think, in that aspect. Our personality, she was more conservative, and I'm a little reckless. And now we're kind of like, we mesh together. Now we're both level-headed. So you got to have a good partner.
How important is she to your success?
Oh, without her, I don't do the pool hall. I don't do the tour, because we still have the Lucasi tour. We're the owners of it. She is a brilliant juggler. She can juggle so many plates, and she just focuses on this plate, finishes it, and goes on to the next, finishes it, and she can just multitask. And she had a great job for an office supply industry company, and she was getting promoted. She was going all the way up because she was juggling so many aspects, and she created spreadsheets for them to do and streamline their business. So yeah, I mean, I don't do any of it without her. And that's another thing, is that when you're single, you don't really put things into perspective. You don't put money into perspective.
Yeah.
I can be broke. I can give a damn.
Yeah.
It's the only person that's affected is me. I started playing the best pool of my career when my daughter was born.
Because it meant something, right?
It meant something. Losing was not an option. I had to grind it out. Hill, I didn't give a damn. I'm sweating bullets. I got to make the ball.
You're putting someone on a table, right?
Right.
Figuratively.
Right. And I couldn't afford to lose.
Right.
So having a good family life really set and catapulted my business life. So
It's huge.
It's huge.
And I'm gonna rest on a couple of last minute questions. How big for you is social media behind that as well? So not only the family support and your wife and everything. Shout out to the wives and girlfriends, by the way.
Yes.
And the boyfriends and the husbands and the friends that support what you do. But how big in this era is social media to you?
It's massive.
You have a great relationship with Melina Mike,
Yeah.
and I see, obviously.
Yeah,
And
Mike's my brother.
I love, again, shout out to Windows Open. I think they do something which we all need. And it's transparency. I recently became a citizen of the US.
Right.
And they talk about freedom of press.
Right.
And I feel like he has that. So again, not to take that away, but social media to you, what does it mean?
It never was important to me. Like my Instagram was kind of like a collage that I wanted to make for my kids.
Right.
So if something happened to me, they can look back at it and say, hey, we had some good times together. Now it's a powerful tool. I can't tell you how many pool cues and pool tables and tips and chalk and everything I've sold through social media.
Right.
It's a blessing and it's a curse because you're so accessible.
Yeah.
With that accessibility comes almost an entitlement to your time. There's so many times I want to detach from social media, but my business relies on it and my brand relies on it. So whenever individuals reach out to like Fedor or myself, like, oh, Fedor hasn't answered me, he's too good for me. Like, I'm inundated with social media. I can spend all day on it if I answered all the questions in. So all you fans of pool out there, be patient. It is unlike anything. Like, I get between 40 to 75 messages a day on top of being a father, on top of being a business owner and try to play pool and do everything else that I'm doing. So it's a great resource if used correctly, but you're in prison. It's tough. It is tough to, but I think there's healthy if you use it in a healthy manner, I think it's a powerful tool, and everybody should be
Everyone
utilizing
should
it.
enable it, right?
Right,
I
absolutely.
guess. I'm using it. He's using it. Everyone else is using it.
Yeah.
I want to end on something really important because I do see you as an ambassador and as a figurehead within pool itself. So, let's say 18-year-old you, one piece of advice would you give yourself if you were to do it all again?
Wow.
I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Man, you're coming with some fire questions, man.
Oh, I'm in. I'm all in.
All right, 18-year-old self.
Would you do it the same or would you do it differently? Is there something that and I'm not saying about regrets. I'm saying like, would you do it differently or would you do it all over again with some tweaks, you know? Would you do the same thing all over again but learn something differently? Maybe sooner.
I would have majored in business
Right.
because my major in college was kinesiology. I wanted to
Okay.
become a sports medicine physician,
Okay.
and I wanted to do sports med and maybe be a physical therapist or an orthopedic surgeon. That was my
Wow.
ultimate goal. I wish I was more honest with myself with what I really wanted. I felt like I went to school to make my parents happy.
That's a big thing.
And I was afraid of disappointing them. Yeah. I probably would have been focusing on what I really wanted and not what others wanted for me.
Huge.
And that is hard to do. It is hard to be honest with yourself and say, this isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life. I'm not happy. People live their life miserably because they're afraid to take a chance. I wish I would have taken the leap of faith a little sooner. And I think my parents would have been proud of me regardless because I was happy. And that was something that I never really understood until I became a parent myself.
That's a really nice place to end, people. Challenge, what I take from that is challenge the status quo. Don't be afraid of going against the grain. If there's a chance to take and it's just a small risk, take it. I love every part of that, Oscar.
Thank you,
Honestly,
brother.
brother.